Hello and welcome back, Stoke fans, to another reaction video. This one, a 2-1 loss to Borough on the midweek game on the Wednesday. Not a great second half from us. We'll get into that, but it started well, and we'll talk about what went wrong in this game. But let's start off by getting into the lineup. There was a big surprise in the lineup, of course. Gavin Bazunu started the last game, and we all expected him to start again. But Tommy Simkin gets put in. It turns out that Gavin Bazunu looks like he's done his ACL. Injury luck continues to be terrible. We can't catch a break. We've just brought in a goalkeeper only for him to get a injury, and now Tommy Simkin needs to go into net, who had before this game done pretty well and got 3 clean sheets. But we'll talk about what went wrong for him in the second half in a minute. The rest of the lineup, I think, kind of as expected. Cisse going in up front, I think, was the most obvious choice. Manhoef coming back in to take his spot on the right wing. Rigo getting another start. I think everybody wanted to see Pearson in there to help with the attacking threats that Middlesbrough were going to bring. And then really Lowell and Maxi are our only options. I mean, the back four at the moment kind of has to pick itself, because we get down to the bench. I mean, we had Seko and Bocat come on, but the rest of the bench, you've got Frankie Fielding, Cresswell, who's just coming back from injury, Dixon, who's barely played, Griffin, Fawami, Curley, they're not going to play. They're U20 there to fill out the numbers, and an Nzonzi, who we're not sure, maybe fighting something off as well. So we're real injury crisis. Gibson's out, of course. Mabama's out. Bazunu now out. Shamadou out. Baker out. Bozanic out. And Victor Johansson also out. So we are really down in our numbers. So I think the starting 11 pretty much picked itself, apart from that one surprise that we picked up another injury. And, good thing that we do have the 2 goalkeepers, because we're going to need them now. It looks like Tommy Simkin is going to be the guy in the net for the foreseeable future. When we look at the stats on this one, it was a 60% possession to Middlesbrough to 40% possession of Stoke. They had an XG of 1.22. We had an XG of 0.81. Total shots for them was 16 to our 10, and big chances, as some stat sites like to say, they had 2, and we also had 2. And of course, the first half, I think we looked pretty good in the first half. We came out well. We put Middlesbrough, under some pressure. Of course, Rigo got that goal, a really good strike from far out, taking his chances. We've seen him have a few looks like that in different games where he's had cracks and it's been a bit wide, or, just hasn't worked out. He's been shots blocked, etc. But he's not afraid to, crash the box or kind of take shots from far out. And he had that shot in the 15th minute. It was a good chance, bounce. The keeper made a mess of it. It's gone under him, and we're 1-0 up. And at that point in the first half, it's great. We're in the driving seat. We're keeping Borough fairly quiet, and now we're 1-0 up, based on the fact that we've coming off 4 clean sheets. We're then thinking, all right, we're going into the second half, looking pretty good. The back line's doing its thing. Let's see if we can, win this against Middlesbrough, which would be a massive midweek win against a playoff potential rival. Of course, Middlesbrough looking to push up into the top positions as well. In the first half, it was really that goalkeeping, the mistake that stood out. I think Melanda also made quite a few errors. I'm very aware of him because he played for Charlotte over here in the US, and we played a lot against them as Orlando City. So Melanda, he's adjusting to life there, but was making some errors, gave away some balls. We almost capitalized right at the end on a chance that Cisse had almost scored at the end of the first half. That would have been massive if he's managed to score then, and we've been going in 2-0. But it wasn't meant to be. Halftime came, and Middlesbrough regrouped. They made a couple of changes, and then they began the second half in a much different fashion, looking like a much better side. And of course, getting that goal almost immediately. It was the 48th minute. Alan Brown getting his I think like second goal involvement of the season or something. not a guy that you really expect to get a lot of goals in the season, and he had a goal and an assist in this one. So I just Tommy Simkin made the deflection from the first shot, and it just, really wasn't where you want to put it. It was right back in the danger zone, as you would say. And Alan Brown crashing the box on the right back position, coming in on the far post and just smashes it in above Bosun Lawal. So not a great moment there from Tommy Simpkin. I think he was obviously would like to have dealt with that ball a little bit better, either catch it or get it out of the danger zone. So yeah, he really just kind of put it back available for Alan Brown to come and finish off. So could have been a little bit better there from our goalkeeper. But I mean, that's 1-1 at that point, and we're thinking, okay, we've conceded, but we're still in this game. Let's see if we can turn it around, come back into it. And it was not meant to be, because it was barely 10 minutes later in the 59th minute that Tommy Conway, another guy who's really not scored a lot at all really this season. He hadn't scored since August, I believe. So a guy that had been really not on the score sheet at all pops up with a goal again. I've got to say, I think it was a bit of a Tommy Simpkin error. He maybe the nerves from the mistake of the first goal hadn't shaken that off, and maybe it was in his head a little bit, because the ball from Alan Brown came whipping in from the right side. And I think really a lot of goalkeepers, you want to come out and claim that. And I think the back line was expecting Tommy to come off his line and claim it. But I think maybe a bit of nerves from the goal meant that he was staying back on his line. The ball came to Conway. He had two bites of the cherry. And on the second one, he was able to put it in the back of the net. If you go back and watch it, you'll see Phillips turn and say some words to Tommy Simpkin, sort of like, where were you? I expected you to come out and get that one. So I don't want to be too harsh on the young goalkeeper. He is only 20 years old. He is a very, very good young goalkeeper. Young goalkeepers do tend to make more mistakes than the mature ones. I don't want everyone to write him off just because of this game. I think we saw before, like he had some clean sheets. Maybe he wasn't tested as much as he was against Middlesbrough, but they are a very good side. And I think that, he should hold his head up and go into the next game with some confidence, knowing that he did also make some good saves late in this game, and not, lose his head completely, because the last thing we need is a young goalkeeper without confidence, and he's our only option in the net. So I'm hoping that Tommy Simpkin will shake this one off and go again. But really, that was kind of, 2-1 down then in the 60th minute. We're chasing the game. Middlesbrough, it's all in their hands. And Bosun Lawal, he's starting to lose his head a little bit. There was quite a few dangerous, potential yellow card challenges when he was already on a yellow card. There was one right before Seko came on, and I thought at that point that Robbins was then going to bring on Seko instead of Bosun Lawal. But what he did was take off Pearson, who was on a yellow as well, put Boca at left back, and then he moved Bosun into the defensive midfield, and Bosun continued with his antics and kind of just left a foot hanging when he was already on a yellow, and it was just silly, really. And then he got the second yellow, the red, and he's off. And at that point, it was really game over. I feel like we did our best to stay in there, to hang in there, and actually create a few chances, even though we were down a man, trying to chase the game back. Cisse almost scored again at the end of this half, denied by the goalkeeper on the line. So it was a good effort from the lads, considering the fact that they'd gone down a man. They didn't completely, write themselves out of this game and let Borough come and score 3 or 4. They were in it till the last seconds and tried to get back in and pull back to a 2-2, but it just wasn't meant to be. I think some standout performers from this game. I think Cisse did have a good game. He's trying to do what we need our strikers to do, but he's just not the same physical presence as a Bozanic or a Mabama up there. And I think at times he was, in a battle, and the ref wasn't always willing to see his side of it and wasn't willing to give him all the calls that he was asking for. But he did try and hustle up there, and he did work hard, and I think he put in a good performance. Rigo, gets the goal again, more confidence for him. I like the way that he's moving the ball around. I like that partnership with Pearson, him being more of the box to box defensive mid, while Pearson sits back and covers the back line at all times. So I think overall it was a bit disappointing, really, because we started really well and we thought, oh, okay, we're in with a chance of actually winning this game. I was worried about our ability to score a goal. We scored one, and I thought, okay, if we can just now do our usual clean sheet situation that we've been seeing the last few games, then we're going to run away with a 1-0 against a top side like Borough. And the beginning of the second half, like I said, it just seemed to fall apart. And that's not what we want to see. So maybe the boys are a bit tired as well with it being a midweek game. I think we just need to shake this one off and regroup. Middlesbrough are a very good team. I thought, they had some great players out there. Aidan Morris, one that I know as well from MLS here, formed really well. Hackney is just, a class above, I think, in this league. And you could see that we were struggling to deal with them at times, but we still have things to look forward to. Of course, we've got a bit of an issue at the moment in striker. So talking about what's going to go on there, we've been looking to bring in Milan Smith. So Milan Smith plays for Go Ahead Eagles. He's a very big lad. He's a 2-footed player, and I think we are pretty much can bring him in the next few days. So it looks like it's a done deal. He didn't play in their game in Nice tonight. He didn't travel, so that's been reported that he hasn't gone, which most likely means that he's already on his way to Stoke, if not there now, and we're going to see a medical very quickly and bring him in. I don't know if he'll be ready by Saturday. Maybe if we're very lucky, we'll have in our new striker, Milan Smith, by Saturday, assuming that everything goes well and they're rushing to bring in a striker with all of these injury crisis. Jason Raksaki is still on the cards. We're hoping to get that one done. So that would be another winger and another striker. That would be a big help in trying to score some more goals. Of course, now we've got Bosun Lawal out as well. So left back, it's good to see Aaron Cresswell was on the bench. Maybe he's going to be able to come back in the picture. Is Eric Boca still going to get a transfer? I don't know. We'll have to see what happens with that. Overall, just, very disappointing, really. I think we just need to regroup, shake that one off, and go again and chalk it up to a bad 20 minutes. I think in this, in the championship, if you let your guard down, or if you aren't having the right awareness at all times, and you play a bad 15, 20 minutes and let a team like Borough score 2 goals, you can quickly lose a game. So we haven't been doing that recently. We've been seeing out games pretty well. Even when we haven't been scoring, we've been defensively solid. So it's disappointing to see the boys have a bit of a collapse at the beginning of the second half. Hopefully we can turn it around, and hopefully, like I said, Tommy Simkin can shake it off and go again, because he is going to be our keeper, it looks like, for the foreseeable future. With some backups on the way, with some reinforcements coming in, with players coming back from injury, we got to hope that things can improve and we can get back some players, get in some new players, and be able to actually be a bit more competitive in the rest of the run-in and still keep ourselves in the playoff mix if that's possible. If not, try and get a nice, strong, solid finish, top half, top 10 sort of finish, and show some real improvement on other years for Stoke. Worst case scenario, we slip further back, with all of these injuries and with just the lack of scoring goals, and we start conceding goals. In that scenario, then we're falling back to where we were in other seasons. And I don't want to do that. I think Stoke need to show this year that there's a real improvement under Mark Robbins. So a sort of top 10 finish in a minimum is kind of what I'm hopeful for. So I hope you guys enjoyed my analysis of the game. If you have any thoughts, let me know. Are you panicking? Are you frustrated by the game? Or are you someone who believes in Tommy Simkin still? Or do you think this is going to be an issue with him? Let me know. I want to hear your thoughts. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you so much. And up the mighty Potters.